Good evening. We are into the deep freeze. The temperature has been dropping throughout the day, and it's going to get even colder tomorrow.
Environment Canada has issued 2 alerts for the area, one for the temperature, another for the winter storm that is expected on Sunday. We begin tonight, though, with the frigid temperatures. CTV's Beth McDonnell has been speaking with those dealing with this cold all day and mentally preparing for it to get worse. Beth.
Michelle, it seems we're in for a real dose of hardcore winter this weekend. Being prepared can help us stay safe and warm. When the weather is cold and nasty, things can go wrong.
My van just broke down over here, and the tow truck came and I couldn't get in the tow truck.
For Wanda, this was a rare trip out, and being prepared can make all the difference. CAA says when temperatures slide into serious negative territory, it's important to pack an emergency kit, phone charger, snacks and water, and keep an eye on your vehicle's battery.
Batteries only really last around 3 to 5 years, so take a little thought, think how long has it been since I had my battery replaced or tested, and then plan ahead accordingly, because you certainly don't want to be caught out in this.
Being ready around home and for the road can also include having a good shovel, plenty of salt, and filling up your washer fluid.
Doing shopping, whatever the wife needs me to do.
When it's really cold, the ice is super hard and super great. And one of the best ways to stay warm is to keep moving. But when temperatures really drop, then you have to think about frostbite. First up, you want to bundle up. It's very important to layer and cover exposed skin. Frostbite can hit fingertips, toes, and your face in between 10 and 30 minutes.
Think about what you're doing before you go to do it. Make sure you're dressed properly. It's all about prevention here. Make sure your facial areas are covered. Make sure you're well hydrated.
There are people who really enjoy being out in the cool, crisp air.
I like this. The wind is sometimes a bit much, but I like the blue sky, and the ice is really good. This is the best that's been here all winter, so that makes it worthwhile doing.
We're just talking about Canada and the extremes. Super hot, super cold. That's what makes it exciting.
Beautiful winter day. Lots of space on the rink, so get some laps in. It's great. It's not going to last that much longer, so you need to take advantage of it when you can.
But for Wanda, the snow and cold is miserable.
Oh my God, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I stay home most of the time because I can't get out and it's so slippery and everything, right?
It's the kind of weather that makes many of us hibernate. The kind of weather that's easier to handle when you're safe and warm. The young and old may need to take extra care. People can tolerate the cold differently. CAA says clicking or grinding could be a sign there is a problem with your battery, and even perfectly new batteries can be problematic in these very cold temperatures. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. And it's not just the cold. We're expecting another dumping of snow Sunday. City officials preparing to keep things on track for the morning commute on Monday. CTV John Musselman is live tonight with more. John.
Nathan, the city says it had a news conference this afternoon saying it's prepared to offer more spaces for people who need shelter from the cold. It also says it's ready to deal with this snowfall. For many, it's the kind of day that hurts just stepping outside. Bitterly cold temperatures that are going to continue for several more days. It could feel close to -30 overnight. The city says it has added an additional 117 shelter spaces, bringing the total to 540 spaces in response to this cold weather.
So our street outreach teams, double in size in weather like this. So they're out there, their main focus, connect with people they see, offer them supports, try to get them to come inside.
For homeowners, people should be ready with extra blankets and heating pads. The city is also reminding landlords that they are responsible for providing heat to a minimum air temperature of 21 degrees Celsius from October 1st to May 15th. And any resident with concerns about inadequate heat, gas, or hot water should speak to their landlord or property manager. And if it hasn't been resolved within 24 hours, contact the city at 311. Transit operations will be up and running. As for roads and sidewalks, city officials say they are ready for the snow.
This hits heading into the Monday commute. It's going to be messy on the roads. We do our very best to keep plowing in real time, but if there's snow happening as we go through late Sunday into Monday morning, it will make for a messy commute. So again, take your time. allow extra time. We'll do our very best, but there is just no way of making sure that you can get there on bare roads because we're going to get a fair bit of snow.
The city's cold weather response plan is in effect. Extreme cold puts everyone at risk. Stay home if you can this evening.
If you do need to go outside this weekend, even for brief periods, city officials say wear lots of layers, insulated gloves, and a hat that covers your ears. And Nathan and Michelle, one other thing to pass along. The Toronto Zoo says it will be closing on Monday because they'll need time to deal with the expected snow on Sunday. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. And this is a live shot of our chilled city on this Friday night. Again, there are 2 weather alerts in effect at this hour, warning of the cold and that storm on its way. Lindsay Morrison is here. She's been monitoring the system and what we're in for, Lindsay.
Yeah, Michelle, it really is a 1-2 punch. And before we deal with the snow, we have to get through the cold. Environment Canada issuing a widespread cold warning of wind chills into the -30s and -40s overnight tonight. Right now, it is -14 degrees at Pearson Airport. It feels into the -20s and has felt that way most of the day. Winds today have been coming out of the west, and once again, they've been strong. It's been a very windy week overall. We're going to see the winds start to settle down into tonight and tomorrow, so that's a little bit of good news. Right now, we are still dealing with some lake effect snow squalls off of Georgian Bay, off of Lake Huron, impacting sections of the west end of the GTA, and there is still a snow squall watch in place for southern Durham region, so from Pickering over toward Oshawa. And a blowing snow advisory, special weather statement in place back toward the city of Guelph. All right, here's the cold. Overnight tonight, we've been talking about this all week long. This is the night where we see the temperature drop into the -20s. Factor in those winds, and it's going to feel like the -30s. And as you mentioned, Michelle, we have a winter storm watch that's been issued by Environment Canada. You'll notice this area in blue. These are the areas that are going to be the most impacted by Sunday's snow, and communities along the perimeter under this special weather statement also expecting snow, but maybe not quite as much. So 20 to 30 centimeters possible for sections of the GTA, 10 to 20 centimeters of snow elsewhere. We'll give you an idea of how long this cold snap is going to last coming up. But for now, I'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. And this blast of winter weather is also having an impact on roads north of the city, leading to several crashes. Here are a few images from one of the scenes, a major pileup on Highway 11 between Orillia and Barrie. This happened just before 10:30 this morning. Local fire officials say 30 to 40 vehicles were involved, and at least 3 of them caught fire from a gasoline tanker that ignited. 6 people were transported to hospital, while dozens of others were relocated to warming centers. All lanes remain closed in the area.
Conditions weren't any better on the other side of Lake Simcoe. Police responded to a 9-vehicle crash in Beaverton on Highway 12. This was just before noon between Durham Region Road 23 and Thora Concession Road 9. Police say 4 people were taken to hospital with minor injuries, and there was blowing snow and slick conditions in the area at the time of this crash. Meanwhile, they're bracing for a monster storm below the border. Tonight, millions poised to be impacted by a system packing potentially catastrophic ice and snow. We'll have that coming up. But first, one of the most wanted men in the world is a free man no more. Former Olympic snowboarder and alleged drug kingpin Brian Wedding is tonight in police custody.
U.S. law enforcement announced his arrest this morning, captured in Mexico, where it's believed he'd been hiding for some time. CTV's Kamal Karamali has the latest.
This is a moment more than a decade in the making. Former Canadian Olympian Ryan Wedding in handcuffs, surrounded by police, brought to U.S. soil to face a litany of charges. The 44-year-old from Thunder Bay, Ontario, arrested last night in Mexico City. A Mexican official saying today a Canadian voluntarily surrendered at the U.S. Embassy.
This is what a united front looks like.
It marks the end of a manhunt spanning an entire continent and coordination between police in 3 countries.
Here we are today, bringing him to justice for trafficking hundreds of kilos of cocaine and also for the murder of innocent civilians.
Wedding was first wanted by the RCMP in 2015. After fleeing Canada, he allegedly began building a multi-billion-dollar drug smuggling empire, trafficking tons of cocaine to the U.S. and Canada each year. Last year, finding himself on the FBI's 10 most wanted list after being accused of orchestrating the murder of a federal witness who was set to testify against him. He allegedly ordered a hit on a home in Caledon, Ontario that mistakenly resulted in the killing of an innocent family. The Bureau offering a $15 million reward for his capture, the heat ramping up in November when RCMP arrested several of his associates in Canada and Mexican authorities seized millions of dollars of his assets.
You're going to find a lot more other individuals who are going to come forward and say, listen, I'd rather give you the information. I'll tell you, I'll testify. Just don't put me in jail.
We will not comment on anyone regarding the rewards.
Few details released by officials today, with many left waiting for answers, including those who knew him.
In some ways, I can understand, the path that he took just because of the lack of funding in Canadian sport in general.
Wedding will be held in custody over the weekend, facing a list of charges related to murder and drug trafficking, with his first court appearance slated for Monday morning. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
Ryan Wedding is accused of masterminding murders in Ontario as part of enforcement for his sprawling drug trafficking organization, and several Canadians have been caught up in the dragnet. Our John Woodward joins us live now from outside the courthouse at 361 University. And John, what can you tell us about the Canadian side of things?
Michelle, by our count, there are at least 16 Canadians that have been arrested. Some of those also charged in the several murders that have taken place in the GTA, with one of the victims' parents telling us they're happy the man that is believed to have organized that murder is behind bars.
Multiple victims targeted on Ontario streets, including Jagtar Sidhu and his wife Harbhajan Sidhu, gunned down in November 2023 in Caledon. It was supposed to be retribution for a stolen cocaine shipment, but authorities confirmed the Sidhus had nothing to do with it. It was a case of mistaken identity.
We never even argued with anyone, so we do not understand who can do this.
Charged with murder, former Canadian snowboarder turned kingpin Ryan Wedding and his alleged second-in-command Andrew Clark. Also killed Randy Fader in Niagara Falls in 2024. Court documents link one of the men charged to Wedding's organization, his mother posting to social media, "I can't thank USA enough for their efforts in getting Ryan Wedding. It means the world to the family."
We've arrested 36 people for their role in this organization.
Canadians were caught in the investigation too, including truckers, some convicted of bringing cocaine north of the border in hidden compartments in semi-trailers. Whoa. This video of the operation in Florida that arrested a Montreal landlord and music producer, Naheem Jorge Bonilla, charged with drug trafficking. There's also an alleged hitman and the blogger accused of giving him a photo of the witness he would shoot, as well as a high-profile defense lawyer in Ontario accused of giving the legal advice: kill the witness, no more case. He's on bail for $5 million.
We've seen mountain of drugs, cash, weapons. We seized the Mercedes-Benz, estimated over $15 million. We seized dozens of motorcycles worth approximately $40 million, and other valuable artwork and jewelry.
Much of those valuables traceable to alleged money man Roland Sokolovsky. He's asking for bail too, a publication ban in place in case Wedding or his associates decided to kill any witnesses there too.
That's very significant. I mean, this is a dangerous man and part of a huge organization.
An organization that does have some members still at large, including Tommy Demorzi, Bianca Canastillo Madrid, and Gennady Bilanog.
Canadian courts are now working to process the extradition requests of many of those Canadians with the intention by the authorities that they will join Ryan Wedding in California. For example, Sokolovsky's decision on his bail hearing is expected next month. Reporting live from 361 University, I'm John Woodward. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, John. Still to come, a warm welcome or a frosty reception. Former Leaf Mitch Marner returns to Toronto for the first time since his dramatic exit. A group of Ontario civil servants and their supporters took part in a rally. Now, they were protesting the province's decision to end hybrid and remote work for the public service.
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! RTO has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho!
The Ontario Public Service Employees Union has gone to the province's Labour Relations Board to challenge the decision, which requires 5 days of in-person work. OPSEU President J.P. Hornick says the mandate was imposed without consultations and doesn't benefit Ontarians or civil servants.
These workers' voices have been ignored. We have over 10,000 alternative work accommodation forms that have gone in as a result of this ridiculous mandate, forcing people back to work 5 days a week, acting like they haven't been working 5 days a week for years. The hybrid work works. There is no need for this new mandate to force people back into offices that in some cases don't even exist.
The province says its workplace attendance policies align with other jurisdictions and organizations in the country.
The Ontario Hospital Association is urging the province to provide more predictable funding, warning the sector already faces a $1 billion structural deficit. The OHA outlined its concerns in a submission ahead of the spring budget. The Ministry of Health had asked hospitals to come up with a 3-year plan to balance their budgets with the assumption they'll get 2% annual funding increases. That's half what they got last year. The association's CEO, Anthony Dale, says hospitals have already started making some lower-risk cuts, but patient services and programs could soon see impacts. A spokesperson for Health Minister Sylvia Jones said the government is working with hospitals to plan for long-term stability that ensures high-quality care.
Canada's Prime Minister has not yet responded to the latest shot across the bow from Donald Trump. The U.S. president posted this on Truth Social today, saying, Canada is against the Golden Dome being built over Greenland, even though the Golden Dome would protect Canada. Instead, they voted in favor of doing business with China, who will eat them up within the first year. Mark Carney didn't speak this afternoon following the end of a 2-day cabinet retreat. Yesterday, the Prime Minister dismissed Trump's claim that Canada lives because of the United States. That comment by the U.S. president followed Tuesday's speech by Carney at the World Economic Forum that was interpreted by many to be directed at the United States. An invitation to the PM to join Trump's Board of Peace was later rescinded. Protecting Canada's sovereignty was a key topic at that cabinet retreat, and nowhere perhaps is our national security under threat more than in the Arctic.
Canada's role there is being scrutinized by allies and adversaries alike. With more on what our troops are doing, here's CTV's Heather Wright.
Well, we are here with Joint Task Force North in Yellowknife, some of the members of the Canadian Armed Forces deployed up here in the north. And with so much attention on the Arctic and Arctic security, we know that protecting Canada's Arctic is not just having radar systems or having military bases, it's also having a presence. And so that's what these members are doing today. They're out on the snowmobile, they're doing training exercises, part of this ongoing deployment in the north, and it's also getting used to living and working and serving in these harsh conditions. It's minus 30 right now, minus 40 with the wind chill, and that's something that these troops, that these Canadian Armed Forces members have to deal with every single day as they are out here serving in the Arctic and having a presence here in Yellowknife and beyond.
Visibility, presence, definitely one, our part of our mission here. And we're covering like 40% of Canada's landmass, 75% of its coastline, and through 4 time zones.
The federal government has committed to spending billions of dollars more on the Canadian Armed Forces, and that includes money for Arctic security. And even earlier this week, Prime Minister Mark Carney said part of solving the crisis with Greenland is beefing up security here in the north. Heather Wright, CTV News, Yellowknife.
The family of a Canadian found dead on a beach in eastern Australia this week hopes to bring her remains home next week. They're also hopeful they can attend a smoke ceremony for Piper James in Australia before her body is returned to Canada. Police in Queensland state say the 19-year-old from Campbell River, BC, went out for an early morning swim on a beach Monday. An autopsy found physical evidence consistent with drowning and injuries consistent with dingo bites, but the bites are not likely to have caused immediate death. Her body was discovered surrounded by a number of the wild dogs. Officials are awaiting pathology results, which are expected to take several weeks.
Ukrainian, Russian, and U.S. envoys met in the United Arab Emirates today, the first known instance that the Trump administration has sat down with both countries. Ukraine says the future of its eastern Donbass region will be a key focus of the discussion in Abu Dhabi. Kyiv insists it's too early to draw conclusions about the content of today's negotiations, but says peace proposals are nearly ready. The White House described the talks as productive and said they will continue tomorrow.
Now more on the weather, and more than half of the United States is bracing for possible ice, snow, and freezing temperatures from a massive winter storm.
I am declaring a state of emergency in the District of Columbia, effective now. We are also requesting vehicle support from the D.C. National Guard to ensure our first responders are able to move around the city during the storm.
People from Texas to New England are stocking up as at least 177 million Americans were under watches or warnings for ice and snow, and more than 200 million were under cold weather advisories or warnings. In many places, those overlapped. The storm is forecast to move into the south with freezing rain and sleet, then into the northeast, dumping about 30 centimeters of snow. Federal officials have more than 7 million meals ready, along with 600,000 blankets and 300 generators. More than 1,000 flights were delayed or canceled in the U.S. today.
Airlines and airports are already making preparations for the impact of the severe winter weather on both sides of the border.
Make sure you check with your airlines. And we do have some cancellations, arrivals and departures already. So check with your airlines all weekend because there will be cancellations this weekend just due to the bitter temps.
Air Canada and WestJet have already offered customers an option to change their flights to or from Pearson to avoid potential disruptions.
Some tense moments for passengers aboard a Toronto-bound Flair Airlines flight this morning. The plane had to return to Calgary moments after takeoff after experiencing a tail strike. A spokesperson for Flair says the aircraft experienced a tail scrape involving the tail skid and returned to the airport as a precaution. The flight was cleared by maintenance crews and departed a short time later. If you're heading out into the cold this weekend and taking transit, there are some service disruptions you'll want to keep in mind. Starting at 11 tonight, there will be no subway service on Line 1 between St. George and St. Andrew stations until Sunday morning. TTC crews will be carrying out planned station work, and shuttle buses will not be running. Riders heading downtown can instead transfer to the Yonge side of the line or take buses and streetcars. The closure was initially supposed to run through Sunday as well, but it's been shortened due to the major winter storm in the forecast.
And similar to last weekend, Metrolinx is adjusting service on the Lakeshore West line as it replaces the Etobicoke Creek Bridge. Trains will run in two sections between Niagara Falls and Oakville Go, and once an hour between Mimico and Union. Replacement buses will bridge the gap, but they'll only stop at Oakville, Clarkson, and the Union Station bus terminal. There will be no GO service at Port Credit or Long Branch. All right, he's back for the first time since being traded to the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Mitch Marner is back inside Scotiabank Arena. He arrived with his team late this afternoon ahead of tonight's game against the Leafs. It's a familiar walk for the former Leaf, but for the first time, he headed to the visitors' dressing room. And it's a homecoming for Marner, who is a Markham native, but after more than 650 games with the Leafs, it's the first time he won't be in the familiar blue and white.
Tough to get used to him in that yellow, yeah. But what's yet to be determined is how fans will welcome him back when he takes to the ice. Here's CTV's Mike Walker.
Mitch Marner's return to Toronto is one of the most anticipated games of the regular season for Leafs Nation. The big question, how will fans welcome Marner?
I think there'll be people that love him and miss him, and I think there'll be people that don't like him, and I'm sure a jersey or two will be thrown.
I think they're going to give him not a very warm welcome.
This is the game Tommy Drake and his son Sawyer circled on their calendar. They made the trip from PEI.
We're big Marner fans for a long time, so we're excited to see him back in Toronto play.
It's going to be good to see him even on another team.
Marner's 9-year tenure with Toronto ended this summer following a sign-and-trade deal with the Vegas Golden Knights. Marner says he's not sure what the reception will be, but believes the tone will be set early.
see as soon as warm-up starts. But yeah, just excited to go back there. Yeah, that building's meant a lot to me.
A lot of booing for sure.
Why is that?
I don't know, just like hometown kid, like everyone thought he'd, retire here.
But Lucas admittedly has mixed emotions. He says tonight will be the last time he wears his Marner jersey inside Scotiabank Arena.
I wish he stayed, but it is what it is. I'm not going to be booing, but I'm also not going to be cheering for him.
The Markham native was drafted 4th overall by the Leafs in 2015, is ranked 6th on the franchise's all-time points list. But he was scrutinized by fans for the Leafs' failures in the playoffs. Asked to reflect on his time in Toronto, Marner said he wants to move forward.
Don't want to look back anymore. Don't want to look in the past. I feel like if you look back, you'll not focus on what's in front of you.
Fantastic job for Toronto, and I think it's just a great player, and he should be cheered.
The Buds' OT loss in Sin City last week may be an indication of how Leafs Nation may respond. The small contingent of Toronto fans there booed Marner at every opportunity.
Leafs fans are loud. They let their feelings be known.
Golden Knights fan Jessica Rassier was at that game. She is among a group of Vegas fans who have made the trip to Toronto to show their support for Marner.
Hopefully see a warm welcome, but I get it. And I want to sort of show the support.
Marner and Leafs Nation will have one more opportunity to reflect on the past. The Maple Leafs are expected to honor him tonight with a video tribute. Mike Walker, CTV News.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, it's going to be a cold weekend, and you may end up having to shovel snow. If you're tired of the back-breaking chore, it may be time to upgrade to a snowblower or an electric power shovel. Researchers just put them to the test. All of that story, that's just it.
And we are not the only ones feeling the chill. Bitter wind chills can be found right across Canada and into the southern United States. So that storm we talked about a little earlier in the newscast, that colder air is influencing it in a big way. Could be an historic ice storm for the deep south. For us here in the province of Ontario, this is just a snow event, which is a bit better than the alternative. But yes, it could be another significant snow for us. We will take you through this weekend weather forecast after the break.
It's shaping up to be a frosty weekend, and along with freezing temperatures, we may also have to deal with a lot more snow to shovel.
If you're thinking about upgrading to a snowblower, electric models have improved, and there are also power shovels to make clearing snow easier. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. Some people think of shoveling snow as forced exercise, but there does come a point where you may want some mechanical help to clear your driveway. Consumer Reports just tested snow blowers and power shovels to see how much snow they can handle. Following a snowstorm, if you own a snowblower, you'll be the envy of the neighborhood, but they're a big investment, so you want to make the right choice. That's why before the first snowflakes fall, Consumer Reports tests them with sawdust.
We use wet sawdust to test snow blowers because it has the consistency of snow.
Testers look at how fast they'll remove the snow, how far it throws the snow, and how each snowblower handles the dreaded plow pile at the end of your driveway.
Snowblowers are very serious investments, especially if you're buying a 2-stage or 3-stage model. In general, they only make sense if you have 3 or more serious snowfalls a year and you don't want to be beholden to a plow company.
2-stage snowblowers are ideal for bigger jobs and will typically clear snow faster and throw it farther than single-stage blowers. They're also better on hills and gravel driveways. The latest tests find gasoline-powered snowblowers continue to outperform electric and battery-powered models. However, battery-powered snowblowers have improved.
Battery-powered snowblowers are finally starting to catch up to gas models.
There is an affordable tool that can help you avoid shoveling that doesn't cost a fortune. This year, researchers also tested battery and corded electric power shovels.
Power shovel sort of looks like a light-duty snowblower, and it's really a hybrid between a snowblower and a traditional shovel. They're designed to go places where a snowblower would be overkill, like a short walkway or an elevated deck.
This $300 battery-powered Greenworks was the best of the bunch, but keep in mind these power shovels are heavier than a regular shovel, still require some muscle, and are only truly effective for 15 centimeters of snow or less.
If you're only going to buy one type of shovel, this type is the one to get. It works for a variety of conditions. It's wide, so you can lift up a lot of snow, and it even has a steel lip here for getting through compacted snow or light ice.
Another useful tool, getting help from everyone in your household and making clearing the snow a family affair. And the late summer and early fall is considered the best time to buy a snowblower, but retailers also want to clear out their inventory in the late winter and spring. You could get a discount, but some popular models may already be gone. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, to the forecast. If you've got plans for this weekend, you might want to reconsider them. There's a lot going on.
I think a lot of people right now are trying to figure out, okay, do we still go skiing? Might the snow impact school? These are, really cold temperatures and a lot of snow potentially.
Yeah, these are all valid questions and concerns. It's interesting. Ski country is going to be less impacted by the snow this time around. In fact, it's looking like the west end of the GTA could bear the brunt of the snow on Sunday, whereas with the last big storm, it was more of the North GTA and East End. We are on the north side of this massive low pressure system stateside. So again, this is mainly going to be a snow event for us here in Canada, but it's also going to be very windy, hence the winter storm watch that was issued as opposed to simply a snowfall warning or watch. We'll begin though with the cold warning because that comes first, and we're already feeling it tonight. It feels into the -20s out there, but what we're concerned about tonight is wind chills into the -30s and in some cases even into the -40s. It feels close to -30 this hour in Ottawa. It feels like -35 in Timmins, and it feels like -41 in Moosonee at this hour. So it's not just us in the south. It's been very cold the last day or so in northern Ontario and bitterly cold in parts of Saskatchewan and Manitoba. I'm here to remind you of the fact that our average daytime high this time of year is -2 degrees. We spent this afternoon at -14 degrees, feeling into the -20s. This isn't record cold, and that's worth pointing out as well. The record to beat today as far as a low is concerned is -31.1 degree. We're not going to drop that far, but again, it is going to feel like it. -22 is our forecast overnight low here in Toronto, but again, Peterborough, Bancroft, those wind chills could make it feel closer to -40. A frigid start to the day tomorrow morning. So if you're out and about early Saturday, boy, you're going to feel that. We actually do improve a little bit in the afternoon compared to what it was looking like the last day or two ago. -12 is our forecast daytime high, still likely to be our coldest daytime high of the season so far. And we will have some sun, bit of an increase in cloud cover as the day goes on. I also want to mention that the winds are finally going to ease into the day tomorrow. That puts an end to this multi-day snow squall event that we've been dealing with. And it's going to make things a little bit easier as we make our way through the second half of the day on Saturday. But we're still seeing some snow squall activity, at the very least some flurries and some blowing snow west end of the GTA, Barrie over toward Oshawa. And as we take a look at what's left of the weather watches and advisories for snow squalls, I anticipate that these ones are going to start to come to an end, but there are additional weather advisories that you need to be aware of for Sunday. What I want to mention about Sunday morning is the fact that we could have a lake effect band with an easterly wind off of Lake Ontario. That brings us the appetizer in the morning hours right along the Lake Ontario shoreline. So there's 10 a.m. Then this system arrives from the south. We're going to be dealing with widespread snow by the early afternoon into the evening. Conditions are going to start to taper off late evening and overnight, but I would still expect that Monday morning there will be travel impacts, maybe some bus cancellations as a result of what could be 20 to 30 centimeters of fresh snow for the areas included in this winter storm watch. Along the perimeter of the GTA, you'll notice this special weather statement. That's 10 to 20 centimeters of snow that Environment Canada is forecasting. Our current model shows a little less for the city of Toronto. But again, if we do get some lake enhancement, if we do get those squalls off Lake Ontario, you can expect those numbers to be higher. And gusty winds means reduced visibility and overall just not pleasant for being outside Sunday afternoon and evening. Monday, leftover flurries, and then just want to mention for next week that we remain cold, not as bitterly cold as this weekend, but looks like below seasonal through to the end of January. That's your look at the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lizzie. Also tonight, the long-term risks after a concussion. A pair of studies reveal how people who've experienced one may be more prone to long-term disability after a crash and more susceptible to Alzheimer's. Researchers are learning the effects of even one concussion can have repercussions decades down the line.
Health reporter Pauline Chan looks at two of the newest studies.
Researcher Donald Redelmeyer says for every person that dies in a motor vehicle accident, 6 others are left with permanent injuries. And while some of the more common factors considered in long-term disabilities include the severity of injuries, length of hospital stay, and concurrent mental illnesses, another factor came up.
The big surprising finding was that a past history of concussions was associated with a 15% further increase in the risk of long-term disability. And these might have been concussions that occurred years and years before the actual motor vehicle crash.
Redelmeyer says the message goes beyond trying to avoid getting into a car crash.
If you have had one or more past concussions, drive safely, especially late at night, which we found were associated with the highest risks of long-term disability. Suggesting that once you've had a concussion, you may not be exactly the same, even though you feel the same, you just don't have that same reserve capacity to recover from the next bad thing that comes along.
Another study looking at the long-term impact of concussion is out of the University Health Network.
Even just that repetitive head impact where people don't even realize that they're having a concussion could be setting you up for delayed neurodegeneration decades later.
The finding is especially significant for parents and childhood sports instructors. Dr. Carmela Tartaglia cites sports like boxing, hockey, football, rugby, and soccer, especially for girls, who she says are especially vulnerable to concussions. The message from Tartaglia's study?
Even one concussion can put you at risk of dementia. And so, of course, this idea that you have to protect your brain throughout all of your life.
She hopes attitudes, especially in sports, which are most likely to be a child's first exposure to concussions, will continue to evolve. For example, setting age limits to begin heading the ball in soccer. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
A growing body of research has found that cancer and Alzheimer's disease are rarely found in the same person. And now a new study is shedding light on why that may be. Scientists in China implanted several types of human tumor into lab mice designed to develop Alzheimer's. But they found that they didn't grow the brain plaque typically associated with the disease. Instead, they found the presence of cancer inhibited the growth and actually helped get rid of the existing plaque in the mice. The findings were published in the journal Cell, and the authors say they could inform new Alzheimer's disease treatments. After the break, kicks instead of sticks. A national report suggests kids are choosing the field instead of the rink. Why soccer is attracting more young people than hockey.
Canadian retail sales were up 1.3% in November. B&M Bloomberg's Marella Fernandez breaks down the numbers.
Retail sales came in over $70 billion in November, with Canadians spending more for food and drinks. The end of a labor disruption in BC helped push sales of beer, wine, and liquor up over 14% month over month. Canadians also spent more on health and personal care products. Retail sales were up across 7 provinces, with Alberta leading in dollar amount of sales. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar up to 73.01. West Texas Intermediate up $1.71 to 61.07. Western Canadian Select is down $1.55 to 43.88. And the TSX gained 142 points for a new record close. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
The Building Industry and Land Development Association says last year was the worst on record for new home sales in the GTA, just over 5,300. properties were sold, with single-family home sales down 63% from the 10-year average and new condo sales down 89%. The industry group says a collapse in construction is putting 100,000 jobs at risk in Ontario. It's calling for the elimination of HST on all new homes to lower costs and get buyers back into the market.
Toronto Raptors go for their third straight win tonight as they continue a West Coast road trip.
Quick. And counted in the foul.
Toronto picked up back-to-back wins this week, including a 122-109 victory over the Sacramento Kings. The Raptors can end up in third place in the Eastern Conference with a win over Portland tonight. The Trailblazers have won 4 in a row. Canadians are known around the world for their love of hockey.
But new numbers confirm many more kids in this country are now scoring goals, not on the ice, but on the soccer field. CTV's Andrew Johnson reports.
Go, 1, 2, 3, let's go.
Under the lights in Vancouver.
Remember, guys, we have to accelerate with the ball.
Canadian winter for these kids is spent on the field, not at the rink.
When I go outside, it just makes me feel happy. It's really fun.
They're part of a Canadian generation now overwhelmingly choosing soccer over hockey.
This has been his sport since he was like 2 years old. Messi and Ronaldo. And so those were the two guys that he looked up to, and it's just something that came naturally to him.
According to a new report by Canadian Tire Jumpstart Charities, half of young Canadians play soccer, making it the most widely played youth sport in the country, more than twice the number who play hockey.
I think it's so accessible. Kids can play at school, at recess, at lunch. All you need is a ball and a wall.
It's multicultural. You don't need to speak to get a, friendship. You just have to play soccer.
The popularity of soccer also comes down to cost. The report says families spent 4 times more to put a child in hockey.
This keeps them off of video games, which I feel is way more expensive.
Like hockey, the report confirms soccer is attracting more boys than girls. A stat Sloan Rodriguez is experiencing firsthand.
What's it like being the only girl on a boys' team?
It feels a bit awkward.
What hasn't changed is the positive power of sport. 96% of families say they believe it improves their children's physical health. 93% point to mental health benefits. Now that's a win. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Just ahead, he's in the hit show Heated Rivalry, but you wouldn't know it. We head to the rink with the body double for star Hudson Williams. How he suddenly found himself in this most unexpected role, and just the on-ice scenes, FYI.
Tonight, a former Canadian Olympian turned alleged drug lord arrested.
He is a modern-day El Chapo. He is a modern-day Pablo Escobar.
Where Ryan Wedding was captured and the string of charges. Later on CTV National News and watch on Crave.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
By now, you've likely heard of the hit Crave television series Heated Rivalry. The filmed in Ontario show has made stars of many in its cast.
But there's also some homegrown hockey talent on the show that isn't getting the same recognition. CTV's Spencer Turcotte explains.
Third-year accounting student Jonah DeSimone thought his hockey career at the University of Guelph was winding down.
I had 2 concussions last year, so decided to step away from the team.
But his on-ice time was revived in a roundabout way.
I knew there was going to be like a gay hockey show filming in Guelph, and someone on production reached out to our coach Josh, looking for, for some extras.
Turns out Jonah's height and weight fit the bill perfectly to be a body double for Hudson Williams, a co-star in the smash Crave hit Heated Rivalry, which is a romantic drama that shines a light on LGBTQ2S+ representation in hockey. And just to be clear, given the spicy scenes...
No, only the on-ice scenes.
When audiences see Hudson Williams' character Shane Hollander showing off his skills on the ice, it's actually Jonah.
For the All-Star sequence and one of the first 2 episodes, I spent like an hour working with Hudson on how would it look when I'm shooting?
He says the actor was receptive to learning the mannerisms of a hockey player. They had to ensure everything was identical between them for scenes where Jonah stepped in, how their sticks were taped, how their skates were tied, and even the chirps.
I get chirped for being a bad chirper. He gave me the lowdown of the situation. I would say go home, right? I think it's a good chirp. And apparently everyone thought it was very fitting for the character that he's a bad chirper. And I was like, I thought it was kind of good.
The show has been greenlit for a second season, and Jonah is hoping he'll be back as a body double.
I'm just waiting for the call, and I'll come back with some better chirps for next season.
Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Guelph.
It's a pretty cool story. You wouldn't know unless he actually told you.
I love that. Glad, nice to meet Jonah there. And I got to say, the whole city feels like it's on ice right now, and that's going to continue through the weekend.
It is. So cold warning in place. That is round one in this 1-2 punch this weekend. So here's what that looks like. And really, it is the entire province of Ontario under this warning. But this is warning us here in the GTA of wind chills overnight tonight near -30, -40 in some communities. Waking up tomorrow morning, brutal cold. There will be improvements as the day goes on. Forecasting an afternoon high of -12 degrees, mix of sun and cloud. There will be an increase in cloud cover as the day goes on, but the winds are going to ease as well. Here's a look at the winter storm watch that's in place for the city of Toronto and much of the GTA. That's the area in light blue. Outside of the GTA, that is a special weather statement. No matter where you are, we are expecting this to be another round of measurable snow. And again, this is for Sunday, anywhere from 10 to 30 centimeters of snow, depending on where you're joining us from. Likely impacting us into Monday morning, but improving Monday, just some lingering flurries. And the cold, we will remain below seasonal right through next week, but at least it won't be as dangerously cold as this weekend. Take care throughout the weekend, everyone. Stay safe. Michelle and Nathan.
Appreciate the heads up. Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for us, but be sure to join Heather Butts tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with your next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.